Hi, everyone. So this is a story we're going to tell that is, we had a true legacy brand, and what we had to do to turn it into a vibrant and growing business. And we think it's a remarkable story. It's definitely an unlikely story, and it's also definitely a personally exhausting story. But it's fun to talk about. So here we go. I think the slide is, there we go. So we're old. Like, you guys, most of you were in like high school when we started this thing, if that. We're like millennial old. We're one of the largest publishers online. We've made expert content that helps people for a very, very long time. In 2012, IAC, which is Barry Diller, and a lot of brands that you guys would know, from Expedia to TripAdvisor to Match to now About.com, bought About from the New York Times. And this is the good news. When they bought it, we were a top 20 website with 100 million users and 100 million in revenue, which sounds great and is very exciting. The problem is users and revenue were half of what they were at their peak. So clearly something was going on here, and rather than explain to you the details of what was going on, I'll just show you this, which is what About.com looked like in, this is like late 2013, around the time when I joined. And so we've been around for 16, 17, 18 years at this point, and the site looks like this. So the question you have to ask is like, why do we even still exist? Like, why does this business still exist on the internet? And the answer is, we were always very good at making content people cared about. So we made great evergreen content, content that mattered, like how to make something, how to cook something, how to fix something, how to diagnose something, how to invest something. And we really helped people, and that mattered. So because of that, we still would get traffic from Google and Facebook and other places, when otherwise we probably shouldn't, because we were apparently doing our best to make our site completely unusable for any normal human beings. So this is what we did. We were there for a year. We had a business that no one had touched the code or the design since like 2006. So we launched a brand new About.com, built it from scratch, rewrote every line of code, redesigned it from scratch, put it out into the world, and it looked like this, which is pretty good. Like, we're kind of proud of this. So here's what happened. It stopped the decline. Users started coming back. We're actually able to sell some ads. You're able to go to a cocktail party and say you work at About.com and be excited about that. Like, that's really fun now. So then this is what happened, which is nothing. And we had a lot of momentum. We thought we were really smart. The guys at IAC, like Barry Diller and my boss, who's the CEO, were super psyched with us. But then we just stalled. And for a year, we could not get it to grow. We could not get advertisers to care. We just couldn't make anything happen. So here's what we realized. We were doing it wrong. And what we were doing was the wrong thing better. And let me explain what that means. It means that our model, the About.com model, the general information portal-y website model, was from the 90s, where scaled brands equal trust. And for those of you who are old enough like me to know what the old internet used to look like, if you had a big brand, that was enough, because the internet was the Wild West. And names like this were the names that dominated: AOL, MSN, Yahoo, About.com. And we had a thriving business. But then the world changed. And today, vertical brands equal trust. Meaning, think of them all. Nobody goes to the department store anymore. The same thing's happening online. So the brands people trust now are like these brands. Like, if you want to cook dinner, you don't want to go to About Food. You want to go to Tasty. If you want to travel, you want to go to TripAdvisor, not About Travel. So we had a problem. And what we learned was, we can't be everything to everyone. You just can't. And this is sort of the clincher. Nobody wants diabetes advice from the place where they learn to stain their floors. And if you really internalize that, like, we've been here for 2.5 years, and we're like, oh, man, we did all this work, and it's not working, and we're tired, and now we have to, like, figure out some kind of pivot to do to make this whole thing work. And here's what we learned ultimately, and it's a tribute to IAC, our parent company, a tribute to our team, is that our problems were not going to fix themselves. We had to do something. And if we didn't do something, our best outcome was sideways forever, and that was not appealing to any of us. So we're going to flip the script. We're going to build standalone vertical brands. Like, why can't we do that? We think we can do that, and here's why. We have 20 years of content. We've been in this game a very long time, making very good content written by experts. Our secret weapon is 20 years of data. The first thing we did was built a data science team that has 7 people on it. 5 of them are PhDs, to figure out exactly what content we have and what people want and what works. And third, we're still huge. We're still like a top 20 site after all of this. And if you put those 3 things together, we have a real opportunity. And then let's look at our content. And this is the other thing, the other sort of happy accident of our plan was, 80% of our content clustered around things that actually matter on the internet. Health, finance, tech, home, travel. Things that it matters where you read it. Like, nobody cares where they see a Kardashian picture. They just don't. You very likely don't care where you see like a summary of last night's Red Sox game. It's just in too many places, it doesn't matter. But if you hurt your knee playing tennis, or you need to figure out what to do with your IRA, where you get that advice really, really matters. So we were gonna stick to content that really mattered in building our brands and throw away the rest, which meant that 20%, 15, 20% of our content, we're gonna throw in the garbage, which is another interesting decision to make to tell your bosses who spent $300 million buying a business you're going to do. And then here's the bet we made. We bet we could turn Yahoo into Condé Nast, or Yahoo into Vox, or you name it. We bet that we could turn a general portal thing into a real branded publisher and make it work. And here's what we thought. 25% chance we're really wrong. And if we're really wrong, we're probably going to crater the company, because once you start breaking this thing up, there's no putting it back together. We had like a serious Humpty Dumpty problem. The second thing is, but we were so convinced that we were right when we looked at the landscape that we're like handicapped at 75%, and that's what we hung our hat on. We think we have a great chance to make this thing work. And then it was burn the boats, which means once we start doing this, we're burning the boats. There's no going back. You can't partially break up, a top 20 internet site in 2017. So next move was this. This was like the Rocky training montage where we got to work. And we spent 9 months going through every single piece of content on About.com. We threw about half of it in the garbage. We have a 60-person team doing nothing but reviewing old content to get us ready for this. And we're getting ready to launch brands. So it's been exactly 1 year since we launched our first brand, which we happen to do here at Collision. What's happened? And I think this is sort of like the payoff moment that we're so proud of, which is Verywell was the first brand relaunched in April of last year. It is our health brand. It's like a WebMD everyday health competitor, except it's the opposite of that. We told our guys to figure out what our content advantage is, which is our content is written by humans and experts who have empathy. So we want a health site that when you have a headache and you go there, you don't think you're gonna die of a brain tumor. You think we're gonna figure out how to get your headache better. So we built a beautiful health site at scale, and it looks like this. We took all the health content off About.com, 50,000 pieces of content, and now I think we're the 4th or 5th biggest health site on ComScore. And this is what happened. When we launched in April on ComScore, we had 12 million uniques. The last month they reported we had 17 million. We grew 42% in a year in the most competitive content category on the internet, where no one else in the category grew at all. And then we're like, oh, we're onto something here. This could work. So next we launched The Balance, a personal finance site based on all of About.com's personal finance content. Not stock picks, more like how to save for college. And we're like, oh, this is kind of working. Same thing that Verywell did. We're gonna demystify something complicated, make it nice and easy, and make it work. Here's what's happened. We launched in September with 6.5 million ComScore uniques. Last month, we had 13 million. We doubled the size of this business. This is also a top 10 ComScore site in its category. Then we launched LifeWire, which is our how to wipe a hard drive, how to fix my broken router site. We launched it in November with 3.5 million uniques, and we now have 6.5 million uniques. And this thing is up almost 100%. Then we launched The Spruce, which is at launch the 3rd or 4th biggest home site on the internet. Remember, we had scale, and it looks like this. It's beautiful. It combines how to do something with inspiration that makes you want to do it. It's very unique in this space, using sort of like our old About.com how-to chops. We launched in February with 8.5 million uniques. Internally, we're up 40%. We don't register full months in ComScore yet. And we've got one more to go, which is TripSavvy, which when we launch it will be the largest non-UGC travel site on the internet that we're incredibly excited about. So what we had was something that 13 months ago, arguably nobody cared about. Nobody was interested in About.com. Users kind of were if you got there. Advertisers kind of were because we had scale and data. Now we're the fastest growing large publisher online, and I don't know who's even close. Each brand is the fastest growing in its category, and this is not like fake math. It's not like we started with 1 and went to 2. We started with 12 million and went to 17 million. And right now we're announcing the last step in our evolution, which we thought was a nice bookend to what we did at Collision last year, which was announced at the beginning of the evolution, which is we're announcing the new name of About.com today, and we're doing it right here. And it's because About.com means things to people, like people in this room and people in our industry, that it's not anymore. It means general interest website. It means something that everyone's heard of, but nobody knows what it is. So we have a chance to, now that we're not about.com, and once we launch TripSavvy, we will have no content on about.com, to redefine what we are and what we can be going forward. So here's our new name. This is the big reveal. Nobody likes Drake? Come on. Anyway. And the new name is Dotdash. And I think, like everything else we did, we tried to be thoughtful about it. We didn't just want to like pick a random name that's made up, like some other people have done recently. So here's what Dotdash is. Dotdash is taking the dot in about.com. A red ball or a red dot has always been part of the about.com logo for 20 years. We thought that was cool to keep. A dash obviously means like action or moving forwards or punctuation for what comes next. And what we thought was super cool, a little Easter egg baked in, is for those of you who know anything about Morse code, dot dash in Morse code is the letter A. So we sort of like hard-baked the old letter A from about.com and a little Easter egg in our new naming. So that's what the new identity is going to look like as of right now. And I'll tell a little story to close. When we started this project a year and a half ago, probably a year and 3/4 ago when we really started to sell the idea internally, there weren't a lot of people that believed we could do this. I thought we could do it. I thought, sorta. There was a lot of doubts. I think a lot of people that worked for us wanted to do it, but weren't sure it was going to work. I'm sure that our parent company at IAC was very optimistic because they gave us the capital and the leeway to do it, but they were nervous too. So what we did is in our office, we hung up a sign that said, Condé Nast, Vox, Meredith, Vice, Hearst, BuzzFeed, blank. And we said, when we are done, we're going to fill in that blank. We're going to fill in that blank with something that is as meaningful as them. And now if you look at all of them, we're in the same class of size, we're growing faster, I would argue our verticals are more appealing, and we have a brand new site. We have 20 years of data, 20 years of history, and 0 legacy issues because we built something brand new. So the name Dotdash for us is the culmination of this, and we can fill in our little sign. And we're now incredibly excited for the future. We're incredibly well positioned. Publishing is a tough business, but we're making it work, and we're making it work in a totally new way. And that's our story. Thanks.